as we break down this critical time in modern masculinity and all the things as it relates to marriage. So, guys, Ty Kutner, once again, tell the people what your purpose is and why are you so dedicated to empowering men in this current culture that we have called America.
Okay, so my name is Ty Kutner. I'm an image coach, and I started doing my practice and being an image coach and helping men after coming out of a betrayal myself. So I was, several years ago, a bus driver, a job I didn't really enjoy, but I did it because I thought that's what I needed to do for my family and everything else. Found out my girl was cheating on me, and, I got out of that by improving myself, and I started with improving my image. And when I improved my image, where I dress and everything else, I started to see how life changed. I seen a different person when I looked in the mirror. A person who couldn't be at a job he doesn't want to be, a person who couldn't be lazy, playing Xbox all day, a person who needed to go for things. And I started to improve myself, change my life, change my career, change everything else. I started helping other guys. So they looked at me and said, how can I look cool in these clothes? Every time I wear these clothes, I look like I'm going to church. So I helped them, and that's kind of how I built my business. And in the midst of me building that business, I met other people, other entrepreneurs along the way. And one of those entrepreneurs was Ed Baxter. So Ed Baxter, he was creating a program himself. He went through a betrayal recently. We met each other around the same time. He went through a betrayal, and he was creating a program to help guys not have that happen again. And so long story short, we continue forward. We continue with our successes. His program started to blow up, and he's like, Ty, listen, I need help. I have a lot of guys coming in. This program is doing very well. My Facebook ads are working. People are loving the program. Would you come in and help, screen some calls for me? Take some guys in and screen them and see if they're good for the program. Help them out. I came in since October, and I've been enrolling guys into the program, the Move One After Betrayal program, which is a program designed to help men get over the betrayal they experience from a spouse, whether it's cheating, divorce, separation, whatever, and help them build a better life. A lot of these guys are coming through. They're going like divorce and separation and cheating is probably one of the worst things that can happen to a man. Right. Aside from death is one of the worst things that can happen to a man. It brings us to our knees emotionally, financially, in many ways, so a lot of these guys I'm speaking to, they're at their lowest point in their life, and within an hour, a lot of times I'm able to bring life back into them, to get them to the point where whether they join the program or not, at least they know what happened and how it happened and how, to hopefully not have it happen again. So that's what I do for guys. And the reason why I do this is because I know how much it sucks. I've been through it. It's horrible, and there is a way out. And what I tell guys is every time when I call, I get on the phone with the guys and I say, I understand how bad she was, but you have to see where you messed up.
Yes.
You have to see where you messed up. And when you see where you messed up, that's the only way you're going to see how you're not going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And that's really what I teach guys.
Taz, with so many celebrity divorces are more or less being so prominent in culture now, with the latest being Tyrese, also Kim, Kanye West, and the Kardashian lady, Kim Kardashian, but also Dr. Dre and his wife. There's a clinical term called gammaphobia, which is the fear of commitment. Are men afraid of commitment, or are they afraid of the current court system and how it impacts the productivity of men? Give me your take on that.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of both. The court systems aren't friendly to men. We go in there, we don't feel like we're being heard, because, and the reason why is because the court system is in cahoots with getting in your pockets, basically. So the lawyers work for the courts. The judges, when it comes to child support, it's not a real judge, right? Child support is an administrative process. It's not a judicial process. So the person who's sitting behind that bench, he can't be a judge. It will be conflict. The branches of government can't go in each other. So that guy who's behind the bench, who's doing your child support thing, he's not a real judge, right? He's a magistrate, right? So that whole process, the goal is to get money out of your pocket,
right?
All because every time you give alimony, you give child support, they're taking pieces out of it. They're processing fees and all that. They make billions of dollars to do this. And child support is connected to welfare. It's Social Security Act, Title 4D is connected to welfare and everything else. So they're trying to get money out of your pocket and everything else. So that's why it's not beneficial to men, because we men go into relationships for love. We going in there thinking that we're going to love this person. They're going to be with us. They're going to be everything for us. And then, and the woman, she goes in there thinking that too. Let's keep it real. The woman goes in there. She don't go in there thinking I'm going to take from him later on down the years. She don't think that. She goes in there thinking it's love too. But here's the thing. Women are always changing. Their minds and moods are always changing. They're more connected to nature than we are.
Right.
They're very connected to nature. They're all flowing. That's why they don't know what they want. Their minds are flowing. They change their hair all the time, changing that. That's why we like them. Okay. So we have to be able to navigate. It's like surfing, right? The wave's going to do what the wave's going to do. You have to be able to navigate that. And that's what men don't understand. They believe that the woman that they have is going to be the same forever, right? But what happens is that the man has to focus on himself, focusing on what makes him attractive, focusing on what makes him great, focus on his purpose. Now, if he's focused on that, chances are he's going to have better success with her. Right. But even if he doesn't, even if he's like a Dr. Dre, these celebrities, they focus on their grind and everything else, and the woman still leaves, you have to get to a point where your value isn't in her hands.
Right. Yes.
If you ask any of these guys, if I was on a call with any of these guys, I would ask them, when did you first see the red flag? And I guarantee all of them will say, before we got married, I seen the red flag. Before everything started, I seen the red flag. The reason why guys get into these situations is because when you first meet a woman, she love bombs you. She adapts to you. She studies you. She mirrors you. She becomes the best thing ever to you. You feel so great. The sex and everything is great. It's amazing. And then you try to keep things that way by doing what she says, being nice to her, trying to make her happy, right? And that's how you fail, because you try to make her happy, you lose respect. You know, you try to do these things, you lose respect for her. And women can't love you if they don't respect you. There's no love from women if there's not respect.
So it sounds like to me, Ty, that a lot of these men, when they get in these relationships, don't really have a purpose. And because of the lack of them having a purpose, they become encapsulated by the allure of a woman. But on the flip side, they have not always pre-established what boundaries are. And the lack of establishing boundaries has caused them to be in a tailspin. One of the things I've said in the past, man, is that, when men experience the pain of divorce and betrayal, or find out their spouse has cheated on them, it can be equivalent to death. And you look at it in the esoteric from the prophet and the great teacher Jesus. When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus felt the pain, not only of about to go to the cross, but also he cried. And I want to share with men, it's okay to cry, but you can't stay there. And you can't stay there because you have a purpose that's been divinely implemented by God. And when Christ was in the world, he had purpose because his purpose and his passion came from God the Father. But see, Ty, there's a problem with a lot of these guys, and I think you can see it in Tyrese, and perhaps a lot of the men, they never had fathers. And because they didn't have fathers, perhaps some of them didn't have purpose. And even if they do have a father, they have masculine fathers that stand on principles, not on fickle emotions. I want you and Gary to more or less contextualize that and give me your input on that, as purpose is paramount to moving forward as a man.
Yeah. So the way I like to, speak to guys is, guys could start off with purpose, right? The reason why the woman was attracted to them because she seen they was on their purpose. That's what made them attractive. But then when a woman comes into their life, right, they start to take their eyes off the prize, which is their purpose, and they make her their prize. When they make her their prize, they don't focus as much, they don't achieve as much, they go status quo. So they can be billionaires, they can be $1 million guys. Status quo for $1 million man is $1 million. Right. Status quo, right? But he has to continuously be rising, right? That's where his energy and efforts has to go towards, because to stay status quo is to do the minimum. Right. So when he takes his eyes off of the prize and he makes her his prize, where is she going to go? Because she's looking at him. She's looking at him go forward. But when she's paying attention to her, she don't know where to look. She don't know where to go. Who am I focusing on? Where are we going? If you're focused on me, where are we going? Right. And so they lose focus on of their true prize, which is success and succeeding. And they start to focus on her, and she starts to lose attraction for them. Because she's with them because she admires the fact that they're searching high. Women don't believe that they should be the prize in a man's eye. Because if I'm the prize in your eye, that means any woman can be the prize in your eye, because we know what you all want. That's what women say. We know what you guys want. You want sex. But guess what? All women can give you sex. All of us have the ability to give you, all of us, every last one of us. But the reason why I'm with you is because you're successful. All men aren't successful. Right. But success is not something that you're born with. And it's not something that you always have. You have to maintain success.
Right.
Right. So if your driving vision is about succeeding, right, and she's in your life, and her goal in your life is to help you be better, help you succeed, support you, be your partner. Because if she's being your partner, you're gonna keep her around. You're gonna do whatever. You're gonna make sure you keep her around because you know how much she's supporting you. But as soon as she become your prize, is when you start to fail, and that's when things start going downhill.
Todd, in your best estimate, when you more or less look at things from a schematic framework with Tyrese, and I know Tyrese didn't have a father. And then, Gary, I want you to come in as well. He didn't have a father. But however, there's an old cliche that says art imitates life. And this is the second go around for Tyrese, where it seems like to me, he's often fawning to the woman instead of having an identity outside of the woman. And it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where he's putting the woman on the pedestal instead of putting his purpose on the pedestal. What's your take on that from an anecdotal perspective? And give me your take on it. Then, Gary, I want you to come behind me and more or less break that down as well. Go ahead, Todd.
Right. So a lot of men, we can see, when we get women, it does feel like we succeeded. It does feel like a hunt. It does feel like we gain a reward from it. Right. But if you really look at it, what's the true reward? What is the actual reward? Right. It's not a major reward. It's not a reward that's helping humanity in any way. Right. You get a woman. It's a selfish reward. It's just for you. Right. So but your purpose is helping humanity.
Yes.
It's helping the rest of us. Because if all men focused on women, where would this world be?
Right.
It would be destroyed. Because we need to focus on humanity, helping each other, helping the world be better, not focusing on one individual, which is the woman. That's why we go south. And the thing is that men, if you don't have a man in your life and you didn't learn these techniques and everything else, you can start off grinding. You can start off trying to be the greatest thing, but you don't know how to maintain that. Just like how you have to maintain success, right? You have to maintain success. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to maintain it. Everything changes. A business could be amazing for 10 years and still go south in year 11 because it didn't go with the tides of times. That's the same thing for men. Women are always changing. And so when we try to chase after their happiness, we get distracted. We get distracted from what we're supposed to do. We get distracted by their happiness, their love, and everything else. Their happiness and love can't be the most important thing in your life because your happiness and love has to come from you and what you create and what you can have more influence over. You can't have influence over what she wants and what she desires and everything else. And when you put it there, you will fail every single time. 100% of the time, you will fail. And that's the reason why these guys, they go downhill. And a lot of times the reason why they do it is because there's some pain in their life, some pain in their heart, some pain in their mind that they're not overcoming or not fixing. So they have this woman in their life to distract them. She becomes their distraction. She becomes their source of happiness, their source of joy, their source of appreciation. And when that's your source of appreciation, when you put your source of appreciation in someone else, it's always going to be a lose-lose situation for you. So you focus on yourself and you focus on your success. And the woman that you bring into your life, she's going to see that and she's going to want to follow you.
Gary, once again, if you can, I know you've got your mic muted, if you can talk. But Gary, when you think about the situation with Tyrese, what did you see in yourself with that situation with Tyrese? And what would you tell young men that have never been in long-term relationships what to look out for and why principles and standards are so important?
Well, when I look at Tyrese's situation, I see how I find myself identifying with him is, for one, he's getting into marriage contracts without knowing the full extent of the law. He's doing it ignorantly because, like Ty Kutner said, he's doing it for love. He's doing it for the emotional side of it. And he's not thoroughly educating himself as a man to what he's actually getting himself into, like so many millions of other men do. All right. So the new approach that men should take now is, before we sign contracts, before we dive into these agreements and things, we need to thoroughly read. We need to thoroughly come to grips with what this actually is. And I appreciate Ty for his background and study of the Title 4D program, because, guys, I believe that is the hidden thing in this country that the government doesn't want us to see. That is when you look at the implementation of it in 1975. Guys, that was the transition of the black family being broken down in what you see today. Pre-1970, you didn't have as many divorces in black families as you do today. But the difference is the no-fault divorce and Title 4D, which incentivizes divorce. Title 4D incentivizes divorce. When you look at Tyrese, um, you just see somebody that just hadn't figured out what's going on yet. And, like you say, he didn't grow up with a father. He wasn't taught these family values. But what I would add to that is, man, when I went through my stuff and I got beat up by the court system, beat up by divorces, so what I found was I was not thoroughly trained as a man to deal with these. I didn't even know what was going on. I was caught from a whirlwind. I was struggling financially. I was struggling mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it just breaks you down and turns you into a slave. And so what we should do as men is stand on our square, create our square, build our castle. And as we approach life, we should approach life and ask ourselves, how can this thing or this person be an asset to my purpose? As Ty so eloquently stated, we should be purpose driven. And once we figured out our purpose, we should go about life, like I said, adding those to our life that can help us further that purpose. How can this person be of asset to me in getting this purpose for humanity ahead, forward, moving forward? And I believe that's what we haven't done as men. We haven't asked those questions. We hadn't approached life in that regard, in that fashion. We just approached it from an emotional standpoint. And I think a lot of men come to a relationship measuring ourselves on how much we're needed by the woman we're choosing.
Right.
And what we should be asking is, how can this woman be an asset to me? Is my purpose attractive enough to her for her to come alongside me to further that purpose? If we are more grounded as men to chart our
you lagging.
own path. Oh, you still hear me there? Okay, you got me back. Okay. If we could be strong enough as men, not that we're weak. We're just ignorant. We're not weak. But knowledge is power. And guys, once I figured out what was going on with the laws, with Title 4D, with no fault divorce, with marriage licenses and everything, guys, we have to ask ourselves, why are we going to the government for permission to marry? Yeah, I mean, we really got to ask this stuff instead of just sitting back, just taking for granted that, hey, that's just how we do it. The
Right.
government, that's how it's done. You go down there, you sign this piece of paper, and you're married. Well, the thing is, 130 years ago, it wasn't so. Marriage licenses in America are only 130 years old, and they were created to keep blacks and whites from marrying, because you had to show up to the courthouse and they had to see your face. And they wanted to make sure that you, a black man, was not marrying a white woman. That's where the marriage license came into play in America. Now, there was marriage license overseas. That's where they got the idea, but it was done for a different purpose. But guys, when we look at this marriage thing and how we're gammaphobic now, we have every right to be. And let me tell you, men are not the only ones that are gammaphobic. You have women that have created themselves, wealth for themselves. Look at Oprah Winfrey. To this day, she has not married Stedman legally.
Right.
Now, she does profess to be in a spiritual union with him. So she's married to him, but she's just not married to government standards. And that's perfectly okay with me. Because she gets it. She understands what's going on. And we men need to understand what's going on. That this government is seeking to drain us of our wealth through legal marriage. When I say legal marriage, guys, I'm not talking about all marriage. I'm talking about legal marriage in America is one issue. There's marriage all over. The Amish, they do not go down to the county courthouse to get a marriage license. They handle their marriages within their own ranks. All right, you got several groups, several religious sects, groups and everyone that handles their marriages in house. They do not report their unions to the government, because once you go down there and it's basically they're charging you money, they charge you $200-300 for a marriage license, and you're selling yourselves into that. That's the first thing you're simping. You're simping yourself. You're becoming a slave. And so you have to know what you're doing. And let me tell you who knows what's going on. There are certain women in society that knows what's going on, man. They knows what those marriage licenses will get you. They know. They know it. Now, do I think that every woman's purpose is evil? No. But there is a high number of women that knows the system, that knows how to get us in the system, and knows how to profit from that system as we sign up for it ignorantly. So we have to stand on our square and become educated. We need to open up. I'm on the threshold of opening up a consultation firm to train and teach men the law, train and teach men contractual law. They need to understand what they're getting into. And if you learn it and you want to go take the risk and losing everything you work for, then so be it. But you will not do it ignorantly. And so I try to use the Oprah Winfrey's example, because that's the richest black woman this side of the equator. And so for her to not legally marry Stedman on the education from her consultant, she's being smart. She's built an empire. Why would she risk it by getting legally married in America? You see what I'm saying? And
No doubt.
we have to approach life the same way as men and women. Nobody should enter into marriage and risk losing everything they've worked for. Nobody should.
No doubt. So, Ty, let me ask you a question. Are you gammaphobic?
For the listening audience, let's say your explanation of gammaphobic. Am I afraid of?
Relationships, commitment to marriage.
Afraid of marriage. Afraid of marriage, yeah.
Marriage and commitment. Gammaphobia.
So for me, I'm not afraid of commitment and I'm not afraid of marriage. But I'm not stupid either.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Like I have to put myself first, because when we go into relationships, I believe that men and women both go into relationships with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I believe the woman goes in with good intention. I believe the man goes in with good intentions, but it doesn't stay that way. You know, and the person who's at risk is the person who can't leave. Right. And if you get into a marriage and you're the one with the wealth, then you're afraid to leave because you don't want to lose that wealth. The way things are set up now, if you go into a legal marriage and everything else, you're afraid to lose. So now you become the one you don't have the power anymore. It switches the power dynamic in a relationship. So my goal is always, my purpose comes first because I come first. And so the person that I bring into my life, I'm committed to them as long as my purpose is still my purpose. I'm still driving towards my purpose, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm still sure about who I am and where I'm going. That person comes into my life and she supports me in that. She's mine. She's with me. I'm with her. We're together. You know what I mean? As soon as things change, and that she can start off that way, and then at some point in time want to switch things up, want to go a different way, have a change of heart, or whatever the case. Fine. She can go her way. I go my way. So I don't have any fear, but I'm aware of what's happening now. I believe that the men who have the fear of it, they don't know what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and how can they stop it happening. I'm not in that boat. Right. I may have been at some point in my life, but I'm not afraid because I know how it got. I know how things get where they get to.
Right.
You know, I've been burnt. You know, I've had my share of burnt, but I haven't been down a road where, you know, I'm paying for a house that I can't live in. You know, and she's in the house with her boyfriend, right? The guy she cheated on you with, she's living there with that guy, and you still have to pay for the house, right? This is happening in America. For those guys, I will understand why they'd be afraid, right? For those guys, because those guys come and they don't know how it happened, why it happened, and why it's allowed to happen. So I understand those guys. I haven't been in that situation. So I have my share of, you know, heartache and everything else with women, but I use that to improve. And so I don't have that issue anymore.
Man.
You know,
am I still on?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
That's good.
I can hear you, Ty. Okay. I can hear you. So listen, I called the show Gammaphobia and Waking the Sleeping Giant. Every man, even a beta male, has a giant within him. And that giant could be more or less amplified when that man has purpose. Why is it so important for men to more or less harness that sleeping giant? And what could that sleeping giant do for their psyche, in your best estimation, Ty and Gary, when that man starts to more or less harness that energy that every man have, which is the power of true masculinity? So let's talk about that real quick.
Well, for me, my sleeping giant awakened halfway through my second marriage. And I'm telling you, man, when I cried, and we talked about crying, it's okay for men to cry. Man, let me tell you something. Crying is a purification of your soul.
Right.
It drains you of your emotional impurities, and it helps you to face your own demons. It helps you to face your mistakes, to face your simp moments or your simp lifestyle that you've lived. You cry because you don't know. You cry because you're hurt. Why you're hurt? That you were fooled. That you were naive. That you were blind. I mean, that's to me. That's the reason I cried. I cried because I was ignorant, and I cried because I wasn't prepared. I cried because I let somebody trick me. Okay, so once you're crying, once you wipe the last tear, most men get up off of their butts, get off their knees, and they start dusting themselves off and say, you know what, this will not happen again. And that's when the giant awakes. When you start educating yourself on what is going on, you start fortifying putting up walls that need to be walls. Let me tell you something. Jerusalem, the wall of Jericho, back years ago, every city had walls. And that's how we should be as men. We're walking cities, and we need to have up walls around us to protect us. All right? We need to fortify ourselves in this world and protect ourselves and our interests. And, stop believing that just because you bring somebody on your team, that immediately they have your best interests at heart. The Bible says, lay hands on no man suddenly. That means don't just go out there grabbing a woman or a man, bringing them up on your team, and you just, just because they look good, they smell good, that you're just going to full out trust them right away. But no, you don't do stuff like that. And you have, that's what it was for me, man. I woke up, and when I seen my strength, I cried for a year and a half before I started dusting myself off. And man, I'm telling you, to go through that purification process, to go through that making of a man by God, I that's what I call it, making of a man by God. Basically going through a manhood boot camp all by myself to realize that I was being dumb, I was being blind. I did not educate myself on what was going on what I was really getting myself into. And so that was a sleeping giant for me. And now I teach men the law. I teach men basically, and it's in the aftermath of them going through divorce. Most guys who are married right now, they don't listen to me when it comes to learning the law, learning their men's rights and all that stuff. They don't care. But once they get that letter in the mail that she's filed for divorce, now they don't know what to do. And so now I teach men how to protect themselves on what they're going, and women, not just men. I teach all genders, man. Most of my clients that come to me are men, but I do teach women. I work with a woman now from Compton, California. She didn't understand. She's paying child support to a man, and she couldn't understand what was going on. She wants to spend time with her children, but the courts would not let her. But once I introduced her to what Title 4D is and how the state is getting federal grant money based on the number of child support cases and alimony cases and what have you, then she understood what was going on. So it's not just men that are being tricked, guys. 15% of the divorce cases, that money is being transferred to the other person, those 15% of those cases are women paying the money. So even though it's mostly men, there are some females that are getting it. So the sleeping giant needs to awaken in men, and we can change this thing.
Right. Tom, when is you awaken your sleeping giant? And since that giant has been awakened, what have you seen in yourself, Tom Kutner, that you didn't see when you was more or less had your purpose more or less attached to the coattail of a woman?
Yeah, so I came to the conclusion that the reason why things happen with women is because you're sleeping, right? You go into situations with your eyes closed. You not just have your eyes closed on a relationship, but you have your eyes closed on your own life, right? I tell guys that, you know, we start to get depressed and we start getting suicidal and we want to make changes when that last domino drop, when she leaves, she divorced, she wants to leave you, or whatever the case is. But that's the last domino. It wasn't the first. There were many other dominoes that fell before that. And if you really pay attention, you'll realize your career is not where it needs to be. You know, you're not doing your hobbies. You're not hanging out with your friends. You're not having no enjoyment in your life. You're not being on your purpose. So many other things that you dropped long ago is what made this drop, right? But this is the one that is blaring in our face. When a woman leaves us, it's blaring. And the reason why it's blaring is because we put so much attention and so much value in them, right? So we have, let's see, you got the basketball court, you about to shoot a hoop, what you gonna do, a dunk for us? Showing us that, what you gonna do with it?
Something I'm proud of, man.
That's your basketball court, right?
Yeah,
okay. That's what's up. So, you know, we as guys, we start sleeping on ourselves first.
Right.
So when she leaves, she's following our lead. When she cheats, she's following our lead because we gave up on ourselves. We gave up on ourselves, we gave up on our mission, and we made her our prize. She's not to be a prize. She doesn't believe she is a prize. She gets with you because she believes you're the prize. That's why women give into it. That's why they all this talk about submission. When they submit, it is vulnerable for them to do that, for them to allow another person to be in charge and lead and everything else. So when they give that up, they're giving it up because they believe in your leadership. As soon as you start sleeping, you're sleeping behind the wheel. Now they have to put their hand on the wheel. And they have to put their hand on the wheel. That's when you suffer. And that's why it goes downhill. You have to remain a man. A man has to have a purpose regardless of who's there. And that has to be his primary focus because we as men, women were designated to facilitate life on this planet. Right? Through their bodies. So they already have a purpose when they're born. Whether they live up to that purpose or they believe they need to have a new purpose or they want to strive to be great like men are great, in the way men are great, right? No matter what, their bodies are telling them babies. Babies. Their hormones are telling them that. The menopause is telling them that. The periods is telling them that. The pregnancy, the lactation, all that is telling them that. But us men, what's telling us? What's our mission? Our mission is to succeed. We feel great. G got that basketball court. Every time he shoots a shot, he feels great. Because anything we achieve at makes us feel great. So we created sports, which is artificial achievements. Because we need to win all the time. We as men need to win. That's what our drive is. That's our clock. Okay, when we stop achieving, then we lose, and we can't achieve with women. It's backwards, right? It's like two mirrors looking at each other. No, you have to be looking outward. She focuses on you. That's how you both rise together.
Right.
When you think about modern marriage and relationships and the impact it's been having on a lot of men's mental health, do you guys feel that marriage within the modern context is a viable option? And if it's not a viable option, what proactive steps would you guys take personally? Now, Gary, I know you talked about the program that the non-state binding contract. But Ty, what steps do you plan to take if you ever decide to get married one day to keep yourself free from guidance-centric courts and also free from the system that really doesn't benefit men?
Well, I mean, I think guys need to look at what's the purpose. Okay, you with a woman, what's the purpose of getting married? A lot of times when men get married because the woman nudges them to that. The woman wants it. She wants the marriage. She wants to have the fairy tale. She wants the day to be about her, right? She wants to have the dress and the ring and all her family to see how much he loves me and all these things. You know how many guys I got on calls with and they things went south on a honeymoon. Right after the wedding, things went south.
Mm-hmm.
Right after I got married, right after I gave it to her, things went south.
Mm-hmm.
Right after I gave her what she wanted, things went south. The thing is that what is the purpose of the marriage, right? And as for in the place of a man, is he doing it for her? If he's doing it for her, that's where he's failing automatically, right? If that's the purpose you're doing, if you're doing it to make her happy, if you're doing anything to make her happy, if your purpose is about her being happy, her being this, then that's where you're losing, because even if you're doing small things, those small things never stay small. They always get bigger. So if you get married for her, you're failing. If I get into a situation with a woman and she's great and we're going to be together for a long time, she's going on my program and everything else, we're going together. And she says, let's get married. I'm going to say, what's the reason? How would it benefit us to get married? And if a case is made that makes sense, then I could see myself going down that road with the cons in place, knowing the issues, the risk and everything else, knowing those issues. If there's more pros, then I see myself getting married. Otherwise, what's the problem with us just being in this relationship that we in now?
Right, exactly.
I can get you a ring. Right? I can get you a ring. We can sign stuff to be together. We can sign contracts together. That's not a problem. But what is the point of us getting married? Tell me that reason. Do you want to have a reception? You want to have some people there? You want to do it? We can do all this stuff like that, but we don't have to do the legal work. We don't have to do the paperwork. What's the purpose?
Right.
That's how I would go about that situation. And I think a lot of guys, they like G is saying, that's the reason why that education is important, because guys don't realize what's really at stake, what's really happening when they get married. They think that getting married is just her and I. This is where the relationship is supposed to go. Mm-hmm. This is the way relationship is supposed to go. You get into a relationship, you get engaged, you get married, you have kids, you have a happy family. Okay, right. But you as the man, remember, I tell guys, when you get with a woman, she comes into your life. Mm-hmm. You don't go into her life; she comes into your life. Right. Because if something happens, if issues start happening, she's not about to look out for you. She's not about to put you on her back, because she can't. She can't do it. It's very difficult for her to do that. She's not going to put you on her back. You know what she's going to do? She's going to walk. She's going to walk. And here's the thing. When she comes into your life and she's walking, usually when she walks, she's walking because your life is wrecked. Whether she influenced that wreck or not. Usually she did, right? She influenced that wreck and she can walk. You know why she can walk? Because no matter where she goes, she's always a woman. And as long as she's a woman, there's going to be some guy who's going to take her in. As long as she has a vagina, there's going to be some man who's going to take her in somewhere, no matter if she's an alcoholic, no matter if she's a narcissist, no matter all the stuff you're saying about her, no matter what, there's somebody who would take her in because she has a vagina. Mm-hmm. And that's just a matter of it. That's just the way it works. That's just the way we are as a species. Okay. Right. So you as a man has to protect yourself. Right. You have to protect yourself from anyone, everyone. Right. You have to protect yourself, because when it comes down to it, when she starts changing, there's a saying, the person you marry is not the same person you divorce.
That's true.
That means she becomes a different person. When she gets in those courts, she's going for blood because she wants to make sure that she's going to be okay at the end of the day. Right. It's for survival. It's not survival. It's not always vindictive. A lot of times it is, but it's not always that. At the end of the day, she has to survive. Right. These are survival tactics that women have based on nature. This is their nature. And we have to understand they're more connected to nature than we are, because we as men, the one gift that men have that women don't have, or very difficult for them to have, and kids don't have, is that we don't have to put everything through an emotional filter. We can put our emotions aside and look at things more objectively.
Objectively, right.
Yes, we're still emotional. Mm-hmm. We're still emotional creatures, but we can look at things more critically, because remember, men had to experience a world at a time when we had to face lions and tigers. Right. We had to face other barbarians. Right. We had to face people who didn't speak our language, and we had to be able to kill. We couldn't look in the eye of the prey that we were killing and feel sympathy for them. So we had to be able to put that aside in order for us to survive. That's still in us, and we still have to do that because we still fight wars. We still have enemies. We still have things happening. We still have to remain men. We can't merge ourselves to be like women, and women shouldn't be trying to be like us. There's two genders for a reason. We're different for a reason, and we complement each other when we're in our roles. When we're supreme in our roles, we're great together.
Right.
Okay. So men have to understand their role, and when they lose sight of that is when they fail. And when they lose sight of that, they're not men. They're not attractive to women in the same way that the women's attracted to them in the beginning.
Right.
That's why we fail.
Now, Gary,
Man.
I want you to piggyback on what Ty said, but then we're going to tie why fathers are so important to more or less disseminating the information that Ty's taught. And here's the crazy thing about it, guys. This collaboration that we're having as men normally will be in barbershops. But having a father in a home does not always equivocate to him being a masculine man, because some men are more or less henpecked. They've been conditioned to listen to their wives. We're not saying not to love your wife.
I got a story for you on it.
Okay, why don't you break it down? We're not saying not to love your wives, because we believe in loving our wives. But at the end of the day, if she's going to follow your program, and if you believe in the Adamic principle of dominion, God called you to be the head. But a lot of men sacrifice their power, and they keep that giant suppressed because they're trying to appease the woman in their life. So many men, guys, have died and are dying because of the negative impact of marriage. Some say that married men live longer. Well, I think that's a misnomer. I think under the right circumstance, a married man can live longer. But I don't think in the modern system that married men are actually living longer. A good woman that respects a man, that loves a man, can help him live longer. But a brawler and a contentious woman will run a man to the rooftop. But Gary, I want you to more or less piggyback on what Ty said. And when did you awaken your sleeping giant?
Well, as I said before, my sleeping giant was awakened by just pure determination of seeking, why was this happening to me? Why was I losing my money? Why was my money being taken, even though I'm a dedicated father? That's when I realized what was going on, and I realized that it was a big scam against me as a father for money. See, the root of all evil is somebody loving money. And so, guys, I want to piggyback on what Ty was saying about we just don't value ourselves, man. We don't. When we enter these contracts, we go into these marriages, and we value ourselves as men based on the level of need that our potential wives need from us. Like, we're measuring ourselves based on how much we can make her smile. That's why I hate that happy wife, happy life stuff. It's totally ignoring the needs of the man. It's like you get into a marriage and the only thing you're really getting into it for is to make her smile. Your whole service, your whole being, your whole purpose for getting into that is solely for her benefit. And you have to ask yourself, just like Ty said, when a woman is pushing marriage, sit her down, ask her why. How is this going to benefit me? Tell me, woman, don't you tell her, make her tell you how this is going to benefit you as a man. And until she does that, then you remain where you are. Guys, we have to push back. We have to stop being so simpish, for lack of a better term, to just think we just grovel and we need this woman in our life so much. If you need a woman that bad, and don't get me wrong, women are here by God to help us. But that doesn't mean we go out there and just get any woman we see walking. That Proverbs 31 woman is real. You need a woman with you need a woman with a business mind. You give her some money, you go handle your business affairs, your political affairs. When you come back, you should have 2 or 3 properties. When I was reading to my children the passage in Matthew chapter 14 about the talents and how the man was given his money to his servants, and he was going on a long journey. And when he come back, they made investment that doubled his money. All right, that's the kind of woman you need. You need woman who is able to make investments, who's business minded, who doesn't look at she's not materialistic or superficial. That's the number one thing with me. My choosing of a woman, the first sign of her being sorely superficial, she's gone. I don't have time for that. Okay, if your whole purpose is to have me walking beside you, have me on your arm, just so you can say to your girlfriends, "Hey, I got a man," but yet you're really not concerned about my needs and my health. You just want me there because I look good next to you. And a lot of women about this stunt, man. They like to show off. They like to get out here and they want the appearance of a good marriage, even though it's in shambles behind closed doors.
Right.
They love to show off, man. So as men, we have to peep that stuff. We have to pay attention to that stuff. Because you got to understand, man, you're going to be entering into a relationship with a woman that could potentially be the mother of your children. So you have to really be grounded, man. And I think, as fathers in the home, just because you have a father in the home, goes back to the story I was going to tell you about, man. In my last marriage, this girl took me around her uncles, and they were the type of brothers that brought their check home, gave their check to their wife, and the wife gave them an allowance.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I mean, and it was all throughout her family like that. The women ran the family. So check me, right? I got 2 kids. I had 3 kids. And, the kids were in the kitchen or somewhere in the house, causing a ruckus. And so, this is a new relationship. So I go back to see what was going on because those are my children I'm concerned about, right? So when I get back there, of course, there's a bunch of women, aunts, sisters, blah, 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 And and as soon as I walk in the room, they tell me, "Oh, Garrett, we got it. You can go back in there and sit down." I said, "No, you don't shush me up. Those are my children. They're gonna do what I say and what I tell them to do.
Right.
I don't care about what you're saying." And they wasn't used to a man standing up like that.
Right.
Okay, because look what's in their family. Guys just shut up and sit down and give me a cold 45 and $20 allowance out of my check. This is the kind of men. Those are the kind of men that these women are chasing after. Because you know why? When I looked at the kind of women they were, they couldn't get a man like me.
Right.
I wouldn't put up with that. So they wanted men that they can control, that they can push around. Guys, you got women out here that's wanting it. But you're not going to do that with me and enjoy the amenities and the benefits that I provide. No, it's not going to happen. And see, a part of that's all a part of me waking up 10, 11 years ago, guys. I wasn't talking like this. I was the biggest simp walking. Okay. It took hurt. It took pain. It took crying. And it took me discovering my self-worth for me to wake up, man. And I see so many men that were just like me. Okay. Just like Ty. Guys just got our ass handed to us and we had to let it grow up. And I'm not trying to get grow up. I'm just saying, man, it comes to this culture of us getting married, man, and just pleasing the wife. It's all about the glitz and the glamour and the dress and the aisle. And it's nothing about you. The whole thing is about her. It's all